As I'm editing the video, I realize some parts might need a little narrative. So I'm installing the front bumper and side skirts. Most of the video I'm going to show you guys how I'm installing the front bumper because I'm installing these Dzus quick release fasteners. I'm really not sure how you pronounce it. That's the best I got. So it comes in two parts. There's a spring here and the quarter turn quick release here. This part mounts onto the bumper. This part mounts onto the fender, and this pops through here like this and wraps around the spring like so. I don't know if you guys can see that. The challenging part about this install is the fact that both my bumper and the fenders are fiberglass. Now the bumper from Shine Auto is much better quality than the fenders I have. The fenders are some no-name generic fenders I got for the car. The bumper is very thin, about, I think it's less than 3 millimeters, but the fenders are very thick. The fiberglass is laid on thick and it's very brittle. So if I try to put a rivet through the fenders, it might crack the fenders, as the rivet is undergoing through different heat cycles or pressure, and the fenders being deformed as I'm driving the car. The rivet is going to want to pop out of the fender or damage the fender because it's this cheap, brittle fiberglass. So instead, I'm going to be using some nuts and bolts to mount the spring. Here you can see me marking the bumper reinforcement that's underneath the bumper. Some people might actually just remove this. I actually want to retain it, cut a hole in it so I can get proper ventilation for where I'm going to mount the front mount intercooler.
Alright, so the next thing I gotta do is put on one of these Dzus fasteners. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put one or two on the bumper, but essentially I'm gonna put it right there, kind of where the blue tape is. So I'm gonna measure where I want it, and then I'll drill a hole for it and attempt to rivet it on through these little holes. So the 5/8 drill bit actually worked really well. It's almost the perfect size for this. But as you can see, there's still a little gap. I'm going to take my Dremel and grind out just a little bit of material so that it'll sit flush. There, that's perfect.
As I tighten the rivet with the rivet gun, I slowly tighten it little by little, as I don't want to pop the rivet too soon or against the bumper and potentially crack the hole in the fiberglass bumper. And then when I'm done, all I'm going to do is cut the ends off on both sides. Quick interruption. As I'm editing the video, I realized I completely forgot to record an important element to the install. So when I was installing the springs for the Dzus fasteners onto the fenders, I thought I hit record and was showing you guys a close-up of the bolts and washers I was using to mount it onto the fender as an alternative to rivets. But I forgot. So I'll just sketch out a quick little diagram. Okay, so this is the fender. This is a Dzus spring that's included in the kit. Down here, I didn't draw it, but this is where the quarter turn quick release would attach to the spring. Now on the end of the spring is I have a bolt, goes all the way through. I got a washer on the side of the fender, and I have another washer and a nut on the other end of the spring tighten them down, and that holds it in place. I had to mount it this way with the spring right against the fender, just given that the gap from the bumper to the fender was that lined up perfectly. You could flip this the other way and have this part down here and have the spring up here, but for my application, this is how that worked. And if you're curious what size I used, these were 3mm nuts and bolts, and this bolt was 20mm long. There's 3 reasons I chose this bumper. One was ground clearance. I didn't want something super low, just for street driving and any off-track voyages I decided to take. 2 is the vent in the front bumper. I have some plans for the front mount intercooler setup that I'll share with you guys later, but I need the extra ducting there. And then 3, because this bumper actually wraps around the fenders, I was able to use those Dzus quick releases. The stock bumper ends here, and it's really awkward to install. So it's really nice having this so I can install the quick releases.